Rock 08 back again on our video. Starrcade 1987. Chi-Town Heat coming right at you. Now, not to get confused with Chi-Town Rumble. This is the main event for this show is Ric Flair, the Challenger. Yeah, the Challenger. Taking on Ronnie Garvin, the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, in a steel cage match. Yeah, Ronnie Garvin's the NWA World Champion. Yeah, that happened. We get the debut of Sting. We get a scaffold match. We get a UWF Championship match, a unification match between UWF TV Champ and the NWA TV Champ. We have a Steel Cage United States Championship match, and a few other matches. Now, the year before we had 11 matches. Here we only have 7. So there's a big decrease of matches, and that's actually kind of good. Because 86 was great, but, it had a lot of, matches. 7 is just fine. Now, a little backstory of this show. Everyone knows Starrcade was a Thanksgiving Day tradition. But the year after this, they moved to being a Christmas week tradition. Because the WWF at the time was running Survivor Series. And Vince McMahon told cable companies or pay-per-view companies that if you carry Starrcade, you will never again carry a WWF pay-per-view. And if you do carry a WWF pay-per-view, not only will you carry Survivor Series, we'll throw in WrestleMania 4 for you. So if you're going to carry, if you got WrestleMania 3, you're going to get WrestleMania 4. And you're going to get Survivor Series, well hell, you're going to get WrestleMania 4. So most pay-per-view companies did not stick around with Starrcade. Because, the WWF at this time was definitely now the powerhouse. It was most certainly the #1 company around. Before, yeah, they were doing great business, but the NWA was still doing good. Now it is certainly here in 1987, most definitely WWF is kicking ass. They're playing hardball. So not a whole lot of pay-per-view companies stuck. Now, a lot of wrestling fans at the time was kind of hoping that, hey, we can get Starrcade and Survivor Series. What a hell of a wrestling night would that have been? Get Survivor Series and Starrcade back-to-back on Thanksgiving Day? Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So let's just talk about this show. We open up with Sting and Jimmy Garvin and Michael Hayes of the Freebirds taking on Eddie Gilbert, Larry Zbyszko, and Rick Steiner to a 15-minute time limit draw. This was okay. It's only notable because of Sting's debut. A 5 out of 10. Next up, the UWF Championship match. At the time, they acquired the UWF, the Crockett's did, and like the WWF did with WCW and ECW in the Invasion angle, they made them look like shit. So here we go, a UWF title match that only lasts about 7 minutes. We have Dr. Death Steve Williams defeating Barry Windham to retain the belt in an awful match. This was really bad. The crowd was chanting boring the whole fucking time. There's this really bad botch where Barry Windham accidentally headbutts Dr. Death right in the balls because Dr. Death was going for a leapfrog and they fucked up and Barry Windham hit him right in the balls. And it was really a bad match anyways. There was 2 minutes after that of completely dead. Nothing going on. It was just really bad. A 0. Next up, the Rock and Roll Express defeats the Midnight Express, which is now Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane, in a scaffold match. It's not as famous as the year prior, but still pretty good. This is a good match. Scaffold matches they tend to be boring as fuck, and they tend to be bad as fuck, because you can't do anything. I mean, the scaffold is literally like 2 feet wide by like 25 and 25 feet above. You can't do anything. The slightest miscalculated thing could kill you. It's a really, really bad. It's a bad gimmick match because you can't do anything. But somehow like the year before, they made this look really good. As good as it's going to get. A 6 out of 10. A solid, for being a scaffold match, this was pretty damn cool. Pretty damn good. Nikita Koloff defeats Terry Taylor in a Unification TV title match. Now, Nikita Koloff, main event Starrcade 86. Now he's going up against the future Red Rooster. But anyways, Nikita Koloff representing the NWA and Terry Taylor representing the UWF. Jeez, I wonder who's going to fucking win this match. And as predicted, Nikita Koloff won. 6 out of 10. It was okay, and Nikita Koloff now is the Unified TV champ. Next up, we have Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard defeating the Road Warriors via disqualification in another Dusty Rhodes finish. Now, the Road Warriors. Now, back in the day, if you threw your opponent over the top rope and they hit the floor, that was a disqualification. The referee was knocked out, and the Road Warriors threw, I believe it was Arn Anderson, over the top rope, and he hit the floor. Now, another referee saw this afterwards. The Road Warriors got the victory after the Doomsday device. They got the victory, crowd's going nuts. Everyone thinks they're the champs again. Instead, the original referee saw the over-the-top rope business and disqualified them. So Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard won after the Dusty finish. I would have gave this an 8 out of 10, but because of that, I have to give it a 7.5. The Dusty finish already at this time was getting old. The American Dream Dusty Rhodes said, "Oh, you thought that the Road Warriors won the tag team champs, but no, son. American Dream. Oh no, American Dream Dusty Rhodes with the Dusty finish. Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard retained." Speaking of bullshit, Dusty Rhodes booking, we get the next match, a Steel Cage United States Championship match. Lex Luger, the champion, who was champion at this time for a very long time, going up against Dusty Rhodes in a cage. And Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, decides to go over on Lex Luger. Oh, I know the Lex Luger is a prodigy, daddy, but he's going to be serving hard times when I drop the bionic elbow and win the United States Championship purely out of ego. A lot of people like to bitch and cry about Kevin Nash for booking himself to be the WCW champion, even though he wasn't Booker at Starrcade 98. But a lot of people like to bitch and cry about Kevin Nash being the Booker. But, nobody really bitches and cries about Dusty Rhodes when he was being a booker. It's the same how people bitch about Triple H burying people and John Cena burying people when Steve Austin and Bret Hart's always buried people. But, you know, it's the same here. Dusty Rhodes should not have won this steel cage match. It's a fine cage match. I give it a 6. But it was just so dumb having Dusty Rhodes win. He had no business winning the U.S. title. A belt he just didn't need to win. Anyways, I give it a 6, but Lex Luger should have won this. American Dream Dusty Rhodes, daddy. Lex Luger ain't winning, son. I'm winning the U.S. title, daddy. And in the main event, yeah, only 7 matches on this card here. In the main event, we have Ric Flair defeating Ronnie Garvin for the NWA World Belt in a steel cage. Ronnie Garvin. This is the main event. Ronnie Garvin is the NWA World Champion. Now, the year before this, he lost to the big fucking boss man in the middle of the card. Now he's a main eventer and the World Champion. That's insane. That's like if Dean Malenko was the WWE Champion at like WrestleMania 17 going up against Steve Austin. That's what it would have been like. Except here's the problem with that. Ronnie Garvin is 1,000 times more vanilla than Dean Malenko or Lance Storm could be combined. Ronnie Garvin was the man of 1,000 holes before Dean Malenko was. But Ronnie Garvin was the man of 1,000 holes before there was 1,000 holes. Ronnie Garvin was more vanilla than vanilla ice cream. That's how vanilla he is. He is so vanilla that when you look up the word vanilla, it doesn't give you a description. It just gives you a picture of Ronnie Garvin. And they made him the NWA World Champion. Now, why did they make him NWA Champions beyond me? But my guess is they needed someone, like I said with the Magnum TA motorcycle accident, they needed someone to get to that Magnum TA. They tried it with Nikita Koloff. It kind of worked, but Nikita Koloff just wasn't a main event player. Ronnie Garvin is much worse than Nikita Koloff. He has no character. He has nothing to him. Dean Malenko could out-promo his ass 1,000 times over. Ronnie Garvin is the very description of vanilla. And he's the NWA champion. Anyways, this match was okay. It was solid. I give it a 7. But Ric Flair facing Ronnie Garvin is just, like I said, Steve Austin facing Dean Malenko. It just wouldn't happen. It's not believable. I'm sorry. Dean Malenko is phenomenal. But I'm just trying to tell you that Ronnie Garvin was vanilla as shit. And they were just trying to find that next guy to beat Magnum TA. And they would find it the year later with Lex Luger. But, you know, overall, Starrcade 87 is a bigger disappointment than 86 was. There's only 7 matches on this card. And most of them deliver okay. The UWF title match is bad. Dusty Rhodes going over is bullshit. Ronnie Garvin being the main event. It's all just bullshit. The Dusty finish, it's all stupid. This had a lot of potential to be phenomenal. It ends up getting a 5.3 out of 10. I'll catch you next time for Starrcade 88 True Grit. Bye.